Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Tuesday. Very sunny morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. A lot to be speaking about today, as I wanted to follow up on the higher term time frame ideas that we've been considering on this channel for going as far as I guess like a month and a half now. So we're seeing these come to fruition in the second week of August, and I suspect that there's going to be a lot of fun action between today and tomorrow for the good old CPI read, of which that again is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday. So without further ado, let's just jump into it right now. Although I have one little note over here to talk about Bybit's 50% off on their options. If you're an options trader, that link is in the description below for you. It is available for, I think, until the end of September or October, one of those months, and I'll continue to upload on the options related playlist, of course. So let's get into it now, starting off with the first higher term time frame idea that we've been looking at for the past couple of months now, going all the way back into June. And this is the weekly PMARP chart. So first off, what is PMARP? PMARP is an indicator that was actually produced in-house here with the good old caretaker. Absolutely love the guy. And what essentially is it? Well, it is an indicator that tells you how far away the current price action is from a specified moving average. In this case, I'm using a 20 period VWMA with 100 look back for this particular analysis. Not always on this indicator, by the way, for those particular for those particular settings, but in this case, this will get the job done. So first and foremost, what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at extreme lows here, of which anytime that we have seen the PMARP indicator get below 2% on the weekly time frame, the expansion phase from the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 iterations, of which that is the full history of Bitcoin, by the way, have led to an average move of about 59%. I do want to highlight that the moves in the last year have been, well, actually pretty much in line with that. And over the course of about 53 and a half days as well, from that major low to the next major high. The reason why I'm bringing that up right now is because we're actually, pretty much at that current time frame. If we take it from the low of June to where we're at right now, that would be 56 days at the end of this week. Of course, there's going to be some variance within there. As you can see right here, in the last year, one of those signals took 112 days to play out. The other one took 63 days. And then, of course, a lot of the other ones were a little bit less than that, which obviously brings the average down. But that kind of put us within the middle of August. And again, there's going to be some variance. So it could very easily be that we see it take a little bit more. It could be another week or two, of course, on top of that. But it tells us that we're pretty mature within this signal for what it's worth right now. We've certainly seen the easy portion of this move already play out. And again, the average historical reversion has been about 59% from the ultimate low. In this case, if we take our current low to where we're at right now, it's close to 43%. So, pretty close. I'd say it's within the context of that, comparable to the last signal that we saw, which was 46.5% or so. If we were to go for the full 59% average, which again, there's going to be some variance here, that would put Bitcoin as high as about, $27,500. So again, we're kind of getting within these regions, of course. And if Bitcoin were to go even 50%, that would put Bitcoin at about $26,000, which I think is, probably a little more reasonable if Bitcoin is going to get another leg. So that is what we have right there. What I wanted to now go into is the same signal that we spoke about yesterday and the week prior, and that is the daily CME volatility versus stochastic momentum oscillator signal. So this one's a little bit different than the typical ones that I talk about, because for the volatility metric, we're going to be using this moving portion right here, which essentially is just the volatility of stochastic momentum specifically. So what is the signal and why is it relevant? Well, it's very fucking relevant today because we're seeing it start to expand, but the signal is when we see the volatility indicator itself get into extreme lows, like you see right here, or like where all my green vertical bars are, for example, these extreme lows, the first sort of tick up on that volatility indicator correlates extremely well with the stochastic momentum oscillator's direction, meaning that once we see it start to tick up, the direction of the stochastic momentum oscillator has gone the correct direction on that volatility expansion. If we take the last, I think it was about 10 or so times in the past couple of years, 89% or just under 89% right here. As you can see, and you can back test this yourself, by the way, if you happen to give a fuck. And of course, within the context of this current price action, the reason why I'm calling this out is because, one, we are seeing this start to turn over here, again, where my cursor currently is at. Like it literally, it's more flat than anything, but technically speaking, a slight positive slope, and obviously need to go flat before you do go positive. And if you do analyze the last few ones, very, very similar action over here, very similar action over here. This one a little bit more abrupt, of course, so we can get anything like those three. And as of the current moment in time, well, the daily stochastic momentum oscillator on CME specifically is pointed in the upside direction. That will be consistent as long as Bitcoin closes today on CME specifically above 23,450 or so, which is basically the same sort of breakout level that we spoke about from yesterday's video. So in this case, when we have observed or backtested the last couple years worth of these signals, there has been an average move from the signal given to the next major high, or low, of course, of about 28.85%. The average days taken is about just over 10 days from the signal given. So, pretty fast, to be fair. And we already went over this portion right here, but the stochastic momentum oscillator has gone the correct direction on that volatility expansion just under 89% of the time, meaning that it's highly likely to expand in the same direction as that, but not guaranteed. Obviously, we are talking about statistics, not certainties, and that is essentially the focus of this channel right here. Anyways, in this case, if we do see that start to expand today, which it very well could, especially if Bitcoin closes above the range highs on the daily, which would be in the $24,000 region, well, adding about, if we play around with numbers and add about 29% to current price action, where that put Bitcoin? Well, 24%, for example, puts you at $27,500. That number already kind of came up earlier. 28 to 29% puts you literally exactly at that gap fill that we did see back from the June breakdown at about $28,500 to $29,000. So I do think that that's kind of still best case scenario. Again, average days taken is just over 10 days. So this is rather fast. These moves typically do happen very, very fast. The only outlier that I've seen as far as like the shortest move was about 2 days over here. Other than that, all of them at minimum have been 5 days, and certainly the vast majority are around about 10 days actually. So in that case, if that signal does occur, I would expect a move, a relatively big move, I would say, pretty fucking fast. Anyways, moving on now, I wanted to point out a few other things that do suggest that we're very likely to see that volatility expansion sooner rather than later, probably within these next couple days. First and foremost, it'd be the daily BBWP for CME. So BBWP is a little bit different than the volatility of stochastic momentum, obviously, but in this case, it is actually pointed north, and we do kind of expect these things to kind of work together. It's coming at it from different metrics, obviously. But in this case, if this one's pointed northwards, we're probably going to see the other one do so as well, because this one would be a bit of a leading indicator in that case. On top of that, we already see the 12-hour doing the same thing. It is extremely contracted over here, does need to get this next closure with an actual upside positive slope, but that would be another good indication that we see this, probably within these next 24, maybe 36 hours, something like that. On top of that, if we do go back to the daily over here, I did want to identify that the daily RSI, or sorry, not the daily RSI, but the daily Joule might actually be lining up for another long signal over here, especially if it gets that light blue cyan color. As of right now, it is flat, which tells us that a volatile move is likely incoming, which we already know. But in this case right here, it's already supported by DMI. So this would be, a pretty powerful signal if it does fire off. Very obvious first target would be somewhere around the 55 right here, which is $25,000. And very likely a pullback from that region as well. Anyways, now I wanted to go very quickly through the lower term timeframes if you happen to care. Let's go down here to the 4 hours. So yesterday we were looking at a move to the top side of the range. We've gotten that move to the top side of the range. We said, hey, first move is probably going to get pushed back, but look for higher lows specifically above the prior breakout region, which is where 23,500, which is of course the daily stochastic momentum pivot as well. Very, very important right there. So assuming that Bitcoin can hold above there throughout the rest of the day, especially into CME closure tonight, we're probably going to see continuation into tomorrow, which would be validated on short-term timeframes by basically just closing above yesterday's high. If you see something like that, very likely going to see that next leg to the upside, somewhere around $25,000, maybe 25,500 perhaps. Very likely another short-term pullback right there, and then probably trudge upwards and onwards. If Bitcoin does fail that momentum pivot at 23,500, we can apply all of these same sort of things to the downside, which I figure most people probably don't want to hear. But if it does happen to the downside, well, all of the prior major regions to the downside are going to be relevant here. So until that happens, until Bitcoin closes the daily on CME below that momentum pivot, again, 23,500, this does favor the BOOLAWS for right now, but that would be the turning point. And then we can apply all of those statistics to the downside rather than the upside, which maybe we'll go over tomorrow if it is indeed relevant. Anyways, I think that's probably a good way to leave this particular video. Yeah, we already saw the hidden bullish evidence play out over here, so all good on that. We don't need to come back at that. I think, yeah, I think we'll just leave it right there. I wanted to once again talk about my Instagram because I've been uploading like a fucking madman over there, and it's actually kind of exploding right now, which is cool. Really, really cool to see. Thank you for support over there. Trading related content. Yes, I'll do some story updates on Bitcoin as well, especially if something interesting happens. But yeah, that might be of interest to you, which there is a link in the description below. Cool. I think that's it for today. What else? Yeah, BitGet has a trading competition. I think there's a link in the Discord or whatever, but we'll stop it right there. All right, cool. Wishing you love as always. Take care, and until next time.